Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 52-week movie challenge. So, this is where I watch films for the first time and I give my own take on them. It's all part of this book I have called the 52-week movie challenge. And yes, I know I'm surrounded by mountains of food, but that's nothing compared to this.
This long list of films I've never seen that makes a Subway sandwich look like finger foods. Speaking of food, I still have some leftovers from my last video that you can check out. Just put it in a microwave, have some Diet Coke with that, and you're all set.
While you watch my latest review, speaking of microwave, I'm gonna help myself to a burrito later. There will always be animation studios like Pixar who tell thoughtful and affecting stories for children and adults. But that doesn't mean animated films that emphasize comedy more than drama can't have the same kind of universal appeal. With the case of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the humor succeeds with a smorgasbord of creativity.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was written and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. This adaptation of the children's book concerns a scientist, Flint Lockwood, played by Bill Hader, who yearns to become a famous innovator. After moving to a small port, he creates an invention that materializes food from water. After an accident that propels this machine into the clouds, it creates a rainstorm of food. Flint enjoys the fame and notoriety alongside a possible relationship, but the machine eventually spirals out of control into an apocalyptic storm, so it's up to Flint to stop the machine from destroying the entire world. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is the kind of animated film that, in my teen years, I would have had written off a long time ago. It's not an animated film that tugs at the heartstrings, the animation isn't realistic looking, it's just a dumb kids movie. No thank you. Next. Ever since I first saw the Lego Movie, however, also directed by Lord and Miller, I was proven something totally wrong. Animated comedies do deserve just as much recognition as other animated films that aim for emotional depth. Going back to Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I can safely say that this was one of the funniest animated films, if not in general, I have ever seen in my life. It has an extremely silly concept, but Lord and Miller do everything with it to make it as funny and imaginative as possible. It has a love story between a nerd and a hottie, the kind that I usually hate, but it turns out to be very sweet and charming. The animation is cartoony and crude, but also highly expressive and creative. Even though the film doesn't go out of its way to tug at the heartstrings, I found that the simple tenderness gave some humanity to all the madness going on in the screen. There's never a dull moment in the film, and that could get exhausting and even boring. Because of how succinctly Lord and Miller made me care about Flint and his individual relationships between his father and Sam, this woman he really likes, all the slapstick still had some resemblance of purpose and never distracted from the film's main core. That's something that animated comedies deserve more credit over, making the hearts of their films simple yet effective. There are animated comedies out there that I do enjoy for how funny they are, but they don't really make me feel fuzzy all that much. And because of that, they don't really feel that special. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, however, is one of those cases where the film's simple tenderness complements the slapstick and making the latter all the more hilarious. The character designs in the film were also top-notch, and now that I think about it, they really complement who they are quite well. I can pretty much look at any one of these characters and I can instantly tell you who they're like and what they want. Flint is a likable loser who wants to be loved, Sam is the shy intellect who wants to be loved for her smarts, and his father is a sad and tired small businessman who wants to keep trusting his son. The animation also complements their personalities as well, making all the characters move and express themselves like they're cel-animated cartoons. It honestly looks like these drawings were drawn in cel design and rendered into a computer. At the same time, none of their cartoonier features feel lost in translation. Even though they have an extra dimension, their movements retain the timeless spirit and style of hand-drawn animation. Because of how simple and cartoony they look, they make the hilarious slapstick even more effective. In fact, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs does something with animation that enhances the film from good to great. And it's something that I wish more Hollywood executives and audiences would understand. It takes the advantage of the fact that it's animated. Something that animation directors Ron Clements and John Musker discussed when making Moana, and I'm paraphrasing when I say this, was that good animation comes from how even when you watch a film like this on mute, or not paying attention to dialogue, the visuals still make the story work just as well, if not more so. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is that kind of film. It's so entertaining and delightful that only animation could make it work just as well as it did. Kids would love it as a colorful romp, while adults can appreciate the animation and sheer volume of jokes thrown in. Overall, I had a blast watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It has a manic but inspired energy in its animation and humor that feels all too rare in family films. Even when it has the zeal of a Saturday morning cartoon, its simple charm makes it surprisingly meaningful in its message of passion and creativity. All this proves is that Lord and Miller are two of the best comedy directors working today on this side of Edgar Wright and Taika Waititi. On a scale of 1 to 10, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is definitely a feast for the eyes. So what did you think of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Have you seen it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, what's the funniest animated film you've ever seen? Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll know when I post my future videos. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at FilmGeekDave. That's all for today, and I'll see you next time when I review a musical.
Je ne pourrai jamais vivre sans toi. Je ne pourrai